Hey, wait, is this thing on? Oh, it is. Hey guys, this is, Editor Agent here, and I just wanted to inform you that we have a new goal, and the new goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yeah, I know, it's a big goal from where we're at right now, but I believe in you. And, you, the viewer, yeah, you, if you look down slightly, yeah, keep looking, more. You see that? Yeah, that's the subscribe button. If you press it, you'll get notified about my videos and content. And every time I post, you will know about it. So yeah. And if you press the like button, you will show even more people about this spectacular content that you so love and enjoy. And also, just a random fact on the screen. There's just, new content that's going to come out when we reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm totally not spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, you know, editor editor agent, I guess, is probably writing some stuff on the screen. If he is, make sure you don't pay attention to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I am not a sellout, by the way, so yeah, don't worry about what it says on the screen. Just completely ignore that. But yeah, I've wasted your time enough. Unless you didn't do it. If you didn't do it, I'll wait. No, but like seriously, do it. Okay, so you probably did it by now. Back to your regularly scheduled program. What is up, guys? This is Agent What If, and I'm back with another video. This is part 3 of What If Deku was a Todoroki. And yeah, you could probably see it, but this is going to be a very good episode. So I just wanted to let y'all know beforehand that I'm gonna be jetting around a bit, and that's only because I need to get to a specific part. So yeah, just listen and you'll probably know what I'm talking about and know where I'm at. But anyway, we left off with Izuku and Todoroki beating, or not really beating, but winning or passing the what is it even called? The practical exam, right? They essentially pass it with flying colors, and we skip to the next day. It's the next day, and they arrive to school for the first day of class. Nothing much really differs from canon, except for the fact that Izuku doesn't actually talk to Ida. Ida, like, he doesn't actually want to come over to Izuku because he thinks that Todoroki's going to chew him out again. So he doesn't actually compliment Izuku. He just kind of, like, wants to talk to him but doesn't. Anyway, Aizawa gets up and, tells them all to be quiet and what they're going to be doing today, and to meet him out on the field in 5 minutes. They do so. Izuku arrives first because teleportation is OP. Izuku arriving first and being first goes first. He's pretty average in all of the physical tests except for like the speeding one. He can teleport to the end of the goal instantly, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Izuku also can just throw his. When it was the ball throw time, Izuku essentially just made 2 portals and dropped the ball in one side of the portal, and the ball just kept falling thousands of times, and each time getting faster and faster and faster. And then he took away the top portal, and it came out the bottom one and flew up into the atmosphere. And Izuku got like 3rd place because Ochako was before him. And Todoroki, surprisingly enough, was before him in that category, because Todoroki just froze. Like, he just made a ginormous ice pillar, and that pierced all the way up to the heavens, like the Burj Khalifa. I don't even know if I said that right, but yeah. Anyway, so he got 3rd, right? Izuku didn't really care, and we skip a couple days later, actually. And we go to when the characters first meet All Might. And that's around the time when Ida finally musters up the courage to just go congratulate Izuku, when he's wanted to do for a long time. He finally does it. Izuku accepts with really no hesitation, and no one has anything to say about this. Izuku just pats him on the back and says, "Thank you for the compliment." Right? Then now they're meeting All Might at the city practice area, and they are told how things are going to go down. And Izuku actually ends up being on the villain team. Izuku is on the villain team with Kirishima, And Kirishima is actually pretty interested in talking to Izuku, but Izuku doesn't really associate with people like that. He will talk to people, but he just doesn't really want to talk to them right now. And actually, the two people on the hero team is actually Todoroki and Bakugo. So Izuku is kind of stressed because he's like, yeah, I'm powerful, but I'm not that powerful. Like, you're gonna have to pull your weight, Kirishima. And Kirishima says, how do I do that? He essentially says, the plan is you're gonna fight Bakugo and I'm gonna fight Todoroki. Because if Todoroki catches you lacking, he'll just freeze you into a statue and move on. And then it'll be 2-on-1, right? But Bakugo would have to bombard you with explosions in order to get through your hardening quirk. So you're going to be a distraction. While he's busy attacking you, I'm going to one-shot him, and then we're going to both move on Todoroki. Todoroki's methodical. He likes to plan things. He probably knows that this is what I'm going for, and he's definitely prideful enough to sit up at the top and wait for me. So he won't interfere, probably. And then Kirishima says, but what if he does? And he says, well, then we'll switch the plan. And then Kirishima says, what's plan B? And he says, plan B is improvise. And Kirishima says, okay, cool. Hardens his hands and pushes them together. And they walk in and they sent their looks towards towards Bakugo and Todoroki. And they just wait 5 minutes and then it begins. As soon as they begin to go in, Todoroki and Bakugo's immediately punched in the face from a very far distance away, like on the stairs. Izuku punches him from the door, from the opening up to the next floor, all the way, down to where they first entered, which actually sends Bakugo flying. Izuku teleports before Todoroki could even look at his direction, and he's on Bakugo, like right on rights, right? Like just beating the man, right? He kicks him with a roundhouse kick, sending him into the wall, teleports behind Todoroki, and trips him. Kirishima actually breaks through the top floor, right? Like the floor above them, falling down, sending rubble down onto Todoroki, which he had to freeze. Kirishima landing on the frozen rubble, flipped down, and actually rushed Todoroki. Todoroki, getting spooked a bit, uses flames, which actually aren't as effective as his ice. Because, rocks. Kirishima's body is essentially rock. And rocks can absorb a very high degree of heat. You've probably never in your life ever seen a melted rock. Right? Like, if you have, it's probably volcanic molten lava. And that's, like, really hot. So there's no way Todoroki could produce that in a couple seconds. Right? Todoroki gets punched in the stomach and punched in the face. Which actually sends him flying. Izuku, noticing this, opens a portal and makes Todoroki fall infinitely for a while he goes over to Bakugo to finish him off. Bakugo jumps off of boosting himself off of the wall, flying towards Izuku. Izuku dodges this using a sidestep, grabs his leg, slams him back down, and punches him in the face again to knock him out. And it hadn't even been 5 minutes, right? Like, and Izuku just absolutely dominated them. And the plan was actually changed like midsection, because the moment they came in, right, they changed plans immediately, because Izuku just decided that he didn't want Todoroki to know what he was doing, because Todoroki and him know each other, right? Like very closely. They're brothers. So of course he knew that this would be the plan. So he switched it up, right? He out-thought Todoroki, who was out-thinking him, right? So it was just kind of like a triple move. Anyway, this resulted in their winning. And yeah, next we are going to actually zip. I told you we was going to be zipping a lot. In a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks pass, and it's actually the USJ time. We get on the bus, or we see our characters again getting on the bus and riding to the USJ. They're on their way to the USJ, and let me tell you, they're not very happy about it. Todoroki and Izuku are pretty chill But Aizawa is really losing his mind at all of the children screaming or talking very loudly. He keeps on trying to get them to be quiet, and they don't really seem interested in doing so. So he just gives up because it's too much effort. That's a classic Aizawa move. Anyway, they eventually arrive at the USJ and begin walking down. They already know what the deal is because they were informed on a bus before they got there, right? Then that's when 13 starts to point out the different sections and how you be put in these situations, and even how there's some civilian participants for you guys to save. Izuku then questions how they have the funds to make this place, and Izuku isn't provided with an answer when Kirishima points out that they're villains. Aizawa tells him that that's not true, and then Kirishima says, but there are villains there. Aizawa turns around and sees them and begins to go down, telling 13 to try to contact the heroes and get them some help. Komogiri and, oh my god, I have such a hard time remembering his name. Shigaraki and the Nomu appear. Everyone is shocked, including Izuku and Todoroki, because this thing is quite large, right? And it has an exposed head, which makes no sense. Izuku, just not really understanding what it is, actually sends a portal, and punches it from super far away, intensing his heat to the point where it was blue, and punches the Nomu in the jaw, which actually melts off the Nomu's jaw, but it just kind of reconstitutes its jaw, and everyone's kind of shocked because Izuku hit it so hard that it punched off its jaw. Everyone was kind of shocked, especially Todoroki, because Todoroki doesn't really get to see Izuku use blue fire that much, because he actually does have the ability to change the intensity of his heat, and he can change it, he can dial it up to an entirely different degree, not to make a pun there. Essentially, he can change the degree of heat. Normally you think, okay, when it rises, when the heat rises, it just gets hotter, right? But essentially there's a different cap with Izuku. With Izuku, different fire represents different levels of power. So there's one specific, there's limitations on red fire, and then there's limitations on blue fire. The limitations on blue fire are extraordinarily, higher. They reach higher. It's much stronger. It's just going to be more dominant no matter who uses it. Even Endeavor could be in a firefight, literally, with Izuku. And if Izuku used blue flames, there would be just no way, Endeavor will be able to win with red flames, right? It's kind of like a level thing. Essentially, Izuku is just punching the Nomu, and the Nomu's not actually responding. Shigaraki tells the Nomu to dodge and stop getting hit. The Nomu starts dodging. Izuku can't even track its movements, and that's when he just tells the Nomu to just kill all of the children, because this is getting boring. The Nomu starts barreling through. Izuku panics and actually makes a ginormous portal, sending it all the way, all the way, covering the entire length of the USJ, which is actually ridiculous, and the height of the USJ, and just teleports half of the entire building. I'm just playing, not half of the entire building. He just teleports a large portion of the army, and they just start falling infinitely, including the Nomu. And the Nomu is pretty much taken care of, but Izuku has to maintain this. So he tells Todoroki and the others that if the villains come over to fight them, that they have to deal with them themselves, because Izuku is currently trying to keep the Nomu from escaping his portal setup. Todoroki says, don't worry about it, I got you. But an unexpected thing happens when inside of the USJ they see blue flames, and it's really suspicious. The blue flames start melting a hole into the USJ, and that's when Dabi walks out. Yes, if you couldn't tell, Dabi's going to be in this story. Dabi essentially comes out and starts looking around, right? Since we know this is Toya, if you actually watch the, or if you read the manga, we know this is Toya anyway, so, yeah. But if you haven't, spoilers, sorry about that. I'll probably put in a warning. It probably have been there by now. It'll be, editor agent, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, essentially, Toya walks, over and sees the devastation and sees Izuku concentrating, and then he actually remembers. because Toya actually left a little bit before Izuku came to like the compound, right? He left about 3-4 months before, right? So it's been a really long time, like, a really long time since then. So Izuku essentially is not recognized by Toya, but Todoroki is, right? Well, actually, no, Toya does know who Izuku is, and the reason he knows who Izuku is because, surprise, surprise, he pulled a bad guy move and actually killed Izuku's mother, right? And the reason for this is because he decided that, he wanted to punish Endeavor for having another child, right? Like, he hates his dad, and his dad had another kid, so he wanted to punish Endeavor by punishing him, right? He basically explains this, yelling this out. And Izuku actually doesn't have an emotion expression on his face. And this concerns Todoroki, because Izuku doesn't get angry when something happens to him. He gets even, right? Like, Izuku doesn't do that, oh, I'm gonna yell and scream and cry. He just waits for his chance to attack you when you're not paying attention, or even when you are paying attention. Dabi, hearing this, like, saying all of this, Izuku starts to stand up. And the portal stops, and the Nomu and the other villains fall from the ceiling, hitting the ground. Most of the villains actually being the F tier villains getting knocked out from just the fall, right? The Nomu lands, and Toya sees the Nomu and actually puts his hand on the Nomu, and the Nomu looks at him and then turns back. Izuku says, "So, you're the reason." And Todoroki then says, "What? Toya? I don't understand." And Izuku just starts walking down the steps with his hands in his pocket. And the Nomu actually begins to run towards him again. And Izuku looks up at the Nomu, releasing lots of killing intent, and uses his portal to decapitate the Nomu, right? And it just falls to the ground. And Izuku thinks he's actually killed the Nomu. So he just begins to walk past the Nomu, and actually, is kind of sad now. He actually taps the Nomu on its back and says, "Sorry I had to kill you. My anger wasn't meant for you. You were a tortured creature, I could tell. I could see the look in your eyes. At least you get to rest now." And everyone is kind of shocked. They're frozen, right? Even 13 and Aizawa, being pinned down, don't know how to act right now. They just don't know how to respond. The Nomu starts moving again, and Izuku turns back quickly, cutting the Nomu in half. Now the Nomu's in 3 pieces: a head, a torso, and legs, right? Izuku is not playing any games. So essentially, the Nomu begins to try to reform itself, and Izuku walks over to Toya, and he says, "I hope you do understand that I'm going to kill you, right? This is not a if, this is not a threat. This is a promise. I am going to end your life by my hands and my hands alone. And when I do, it will be the most excruciating pain you've ever felt. Not unlike the burns on your arm. Much, much worse. I want you to understand the power that I wield. I want to savor your fear. I don't want to end it too quickly. I want you to suffer because you deserve it. So you will suffer. But not now. Later." And Izuku then uses his portals and actually punches like Toya and sends him out of the USJ, right? And falling down, a bit into the street. Izuku begins to walk away, and the Nomu putting itself together, Izuku just cuts it in half again, and he begins to walk back up the stairs. No, Shigaraki left with Komagiri a long time ago. The moment the Nomu got its head cut off, he dipped, because that was it, right? That was a wrap. Izuku walks up the stairs, and no one wants to get close to him, but Todoroki, even in his own fear, snaps himself out of it and puts his hand on Izuku's shoulder. And he says, "Izuku." And before he can even finish, Izuku didn't just ask him. He says, "You're my brother, right?" And Todoroki says, "Always." And then Izuku says, so we're going to get revenge, right? And Todoroki says, yes, we are. And that's when all of the heroes actually arrive. And Izuku, just, not caring, sits down, chilling. All of the villains, the F tier villains get, captured, including the Nomu. Well, the Nomu's not an F tier villain. He's not even a villain. He's a creature, but, it doesn't really matter. And everything's kind of rounded up nicely, but All Might and Endeavor keep on thinking to themselves, right? Your son threatened to kill someone. And Endeavor then says he killed his mother. Of course he wanted to kill her. Don't act like you wouldn't either. Endeavor then continues to say, it's not the fact that he wants to kill him that's a problem. It's the fact that if he does, that's when he becomes a villain. That's when he becomes not moral anymore. Doesn't matter what he feels like. His feelings can change. All Might's never actually heard Endeavor stick up for anybody this much, so yeah. He respects it and just, doesn't question him about it again. Everyone kind of avoids Izuku for a really long time because, no one really wants to get involved with him. The sports festival is on the horizon, coming pretty soon. And it actually does arrive. But I think I'm going to end this video here. If you guys want another part, maybe a part 4, then you know what to do. Like, subscribe. Yeah, I think that covers it. That's about it. So, yeah.